Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Okay, now I'm ready. It's a long show, JJ. I had to eat some edamame beans, bro.
Look how healthy you are. I'm so proud of you.
11 grams of protein.
Edamame beans?
I know. Well, it's because,
I mean, what, 5 years ago that would have been peanut butter M&Ms?
oh, yeah, 5 months ago. No, 100%. Yeah, that's the difference, right? Because, like, I'll tell you, too, the other thing, you know what another move was? It makes you think, the sneaky bad-for-you stuff, snack-wise, is the honey roasted anything. And I'm like, oh, those cashews? Well, those are healthy. They need to have a 1/4 inch of maple glaze on it for me to put them down or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's how all of these I go, oh, I'm eating healthy because they're nuts. Give me the chocolate-covered, maple glazed. And then I'll convince myself that they're okay for me. All right. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. JJ, what's up, man? Everything good?
Did they name a quarterback at BYU yet?
Dang it! I'll tell you.
Still waiting. I'm on like this hunger strike. So until A-Rod names a starter, I'm not eating.
Okay.
I'm not shaving either.
Quit asking.
Or showering.
I'll tell you right now, the reality. I think now we're getting played. I think we're getting used and abused.
You think the coaches are loving this?
Oh, they don't care. The thing is that the price that they have to pay is Mitch Harper rolling up and putting a microphone in their face every Monday of camp, because yesterday was the beginning of the 4th week. And I don't know why I expected there to be some breaking news. I knew we were going to walk out of here yesterday. They came off the practice field like 6:15, and I was like, Mitch is going to put a story out in the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, which is exactly what he did. Yep. And it was quarterback battle still ongoing. And I went, oh, come on. So no changes. But the thing is I have a hard time believing that both guys are just making the exact same throws. Everything looks amazing. Both of them are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, and they're right on, like, perfect schedule with one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have they been neck and neck the entire time, really? What's your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you? When you have a competition like that, you have a talented guy. I think they're giving all of the time possible for Gary Bohannon to earn the job, because they know that Jake Retzlaff, he's going to still be around, at least for next year. He's got 2 years left,
He's
right?
a junior. Gary's a senior.
Right. And I think that I think they're handing him as much time as possible to be able to do it. That's my guess. But as we keep doing this week after week, I think the coaches are playing us, which is good news for BYU fan, by the way. BYU fan, if they actually don't know who the guy is who's in the lead right now, then I think it's going to be a struggle. Because then guess what's going to happen? No, we got to get into the show. Hold on. We got sound to listen to. I'm fiery right now. Okay,
you're fiery. You're frustrated by this?
Well, yeah. Aren't you? This is what
I mean. I don't have a dog in the fight.
No, but don't you wish you could we could talk about one guy? Wouldn't that be nice?
I want him to get it right.
Well, but that's the problem, is that I feel like when you go through this neck and neck quarterback battle stuff, it ends up actually working itself out by like week 3. You know what I mean? And it might be a totally different person than you anticipated, or certainly the one who started. I think the most recent look was, although Charlie Brewer won the starting job outright, kind of with a couple weeks left in camp that year, he was going to be the guy. They were waiting for him to screw up, and boy, he did. And on top of it, they had a guy waiting in the wings who was absolutely ready. So what did Cam Rising look like in practice that he didn't look like he was good enough yet? What did Charlie
That's a
Brewer
good
show?
question.
What did Charlie Brewer show in practice that he was the guy for sure? That's the part that makes you a little nervous.
Well, if you want to revisit that real quick, remember Cam Rising was coming off a shoulder surgery. Mm-hmm. He injured his shoulder against USC during the COVID year and had to miss the rest of the season. And he was still not 100%. He was working back, and so he was limited a little bit, and so they went with the sure thing. And they brought Charlie Brewer in. This is kind of the start of the whole transfer portal thing, right?
Was he South Carolina? Is that where he was before?
No, that was the guy of the year before. Charlie
Jack
Brewer
Tuttle?
was at Baylor.
Oh, that's right. Jack Tuttle was the
guy from South Carolina whose name escapes me at this moment.
Whose name
He's
shall
that
not
memorable.
be named.
Was the COVID quarterback.
Do you remember everybody's like, oh, he threw for 10,000 yards in the SEC. You're like, But yeah, now it's going to bug me. All right, while you look it up,
yeah,
Jake Bentley.
So Jake Bentley took over after. So Cam beat him out in 2020. Duh. But got hurt.
Right.
And so then Jake Bentley had to play the rest of that COVID year, which was short and sweet.
And we didn't know what we were really looking at.
So then the next year, they knew they needed some insurance because Cam was coming off shoulder surgery. So what do? They go out and get Charlie Brewer, who had thrown for 10,000 yards at Baylor. And it turned out that he sucked. I don't know how any other way to say it. He was terrible. His performance in that BYU game is some of the worst quarterbacking I've seen at that level. It was bad. I mean,
are you talking about Chuck Brewer?
He was overthrowing guys by 10 feet.
You're talking about Chuck Brewer?
Chuck Brewer. Old Chuck Brewer. Sorry to lay it thick, but I'm just being brutally honest.
Hold on, are we seeing the comparisons here?
The fact that Cam Rising didn't start that season.
A former Baylor quarterback who got it right a few years ago?
I'm sorry. There's no relation. It's apples and oranges.
Oh, they're not cousins? Gary Bohannon and Jake Bentley aren't cousins?
Clearly.
Or no, not Jake Bentley. Now Charlie Brewer. Chuck Brewer. All right.
Let's get into it. I have some observations about
some stuff.
What's going on there.
All right. Well, let's get to it because they absolutely rolled out something yesterday. It certainly was something. They got to talk about it. And it's an interesting year because now you got the quarterbacks on the field with microphones in their heads, middle linebackers with microphones in their heads or with a speaker in their head about what plays are being called. And that was brought up. All sorts of different wrinkles in college football this season. BYU, of course, trying to get it right with the quarterback situation. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. So let's fire it up right here. Let's get into some sound from practice yesterday down at BYU. Let's get into it with the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's going to sound really boring, but they're both playing really good, and they're both good players. Haven't decided yet what we're going to do.
You can almost hear a little bit of a smile, right? Can you hear a smile?
You have to see the video.
I know.
A-Rod's the best. He has this big, huge grin on his face, and he's almost ready to laugh because he knows that he hasn't made a decision.
And this is going to be
awkward. He's going to trot out there, and here we go again. Yeah. And it's like, you guys are going to love this one. He said he made even a snarky remark before he started how predictable it was going to be. How boring. Like he said, this is going to be boring.
I know this is going to be a boring answer, but here goes. We like 6 quarterbacks in that quarterback room. We've actually added more to the to the competition. Yeah. Here's what Kalani said, though, right off the bat, because, of course, head coach, and Kalani has never backed away from these questions. He's fine to answer them. The thing is they don't have a great answer right now for the media because they're working things out. Here's what Kalani said about the quarterback situation.
When all the quarterbacks have success, it's a great motivator, but when they're also competing against each other and when they have this really cool culture in there of helping each other. I know that Gary and Jake are competing for the starting spot, but they're also helping each other and coaching each other. That's a good sign, and that's really who they are as people, So I think we have the benefit of having great young men compete for those spots, and the team responds the right way to those guys.
Kalani does a great job of the word salad, too, of like they're looking out for each other. They're watching each other's backs, and the teammates are supporting him.
Oh, he's a master chef. He's a master word salad maker. Like he's got the Southwest salad. Oh. He's got the Caesars.
He's got a Michelin star. How good he is with the salad. With
you
the
name
word
a salad, he
he
can make it with his words.
Well, okay. So you said you had some thoughts, things that you, and we've got some other quotes from A-Rod here, but you've got thoughts off the bat here. What are your initial thoughts when you saw that it was same old and business as
Not
usual.
surprised. We've
Okay.
talked about this. I really think it's going to they don't want to. It's going to come down to game day, and they might trot out both. Because here's what I think's going on. One guy will make a great play 1 minute and then struggle the next. And then the other guy will make another play. So, for instance, there's been some observation periods. And it's not like both are bad. But Gary Bohannon breaks off a 50-yard run. Ooh.
Right.
Gary Bohannon might have the lead. And then recently, Jake Retzloff threw this pass and dropped it like right in the bucket. Like just over the shoulder, perfect, and like, ooh. Then you get that reaction, right? But then there's plenty of other things. I heard the scrimmage. Nobody played exceptionally well.
Mitch Harper said that so I think that Gary Bohannon had a fumbled exchange between a shotgun with a back that was offset to his right. Other than that, I don't think either of them, at least in the observation period, this is according to Mitch, he's like, neither of them had thrown interceptions at any point, at any time we've been able to see them. So that's an easy separator that, like,
they haven't budged.
Right.
And give them credit for that. They're both swinging their sword, for a lack of a better analogy there. They're both fighting. They're both doing everything they need to do to win that job. It just hasn't been one emerging over the other in that process because you have one good thing here and another good thing here. But it's hard. It's like having apple pie and pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Which pie am I going to have?
It's actually not even close.
The truth is, both might be bad for you. But you like both.
The pumpkin,
you'll have a slice of both.
The pumpkin spice is really good on the ground.
But you might have indigestion later.
Yeah. All right, but
you see my analogy here?
Yeah, you
like what you're seeing, and this is what you have to choose from. This is it. It's these two guys, and you got to trust that one of these two guys or both of them can go out and lead your offense to victories in your second year in the Big 12. And it's going to be more difficult this year than it was last year because the schedule's more difficult.
I think that the perception is, too, that as soon as you make a decision on the quarterback, then the season can start. Like, oh, now they can make progress. And I think the reality is that it's actually both things. You can have progress in practice. I think that's what fans need to understand, too. This offense is still growing, and both guys are running the same A-Rod offense, okay? And the idea I think that makes people nervous is you haven't picked a quarterback, and so the offense is stagnant. And I don't think – and that's not true. That's not true. I think that the offense has made tremendous strides. We've heard a tale of how good these wide receivers are, about how good Keanu Hill is at tight end.
Yeah.
How electric some of these running backs have been. And so I think you need to throw out the idea that, oh, you haven't picked a quarterback yet, and so the offense can't get any better. Now, you want to be able to establish exactly who that guy is in the huddle, but I guarantee that whoever they pick, both of the offensive line are going to sit in there, and guess what they're going to do? Protect that guy, this guy. They're going to protect that guy. They're going to protect the other guy. It doesn't matter. They don't care. So the cadences are the same. The calls are the same. The offensive strategy is going to be the same. And guess what? I know we're doing all this back and forth about the quarterback situation. If they don't figure out the freaking run game, then you're in real trouble.
100%.
The quarterback battle is absolutely important. You got to know who the guy is. But aren't you more concerned for how the running game is going to actually play out? Because these quarterbacks have no shot if they can't run the freaking football. You know what I mean? Everything gets opened up by that run game. And so you should be worried about the run game as much as you are about the quarterback battle. And you shouldn't freak out as much about the season not getting underway. Jeremy, will you share your insane idea that you had before of how they should handle this thing? Jeremy had now look, we've seen all the ways that this thing is played out, but Jeremy, and this isn't a new idea, but you came up with, and this is what happens when you're up late at night, I think, and you start like
I'm playing college
rationalizing.
football 25, so maybe that's my plan.
Jeremy, what was your plan?
Well, they're playing Southern Illinois.
Got it.
A nobody. Sorry, Salukis, but just rotate. Give each guy a quarter. Do the Jim Harbaugh. He did that a couple years ago.
He's going to go one quarter. So one quarter. Look at the look JJ's giving you.
If they don't know, I'm just throwing ideas.
I will say, though, quarterback battles like this, a lot of times, aren't actually figured out until game 2 or 3.
Ask Zach Wilson what it was like on Sunday night to be playing end of third, late fourth quarter. How much did that help your cause?
Well, preseason games are a little bit different. NFL
How
preseason
so?
games.
But you're only playing a quarter. What can you do in a quarter? You play a quarter and then they switch out. You lose your rhythm, and you may only have one drive in a quarter. Or you might get 3. That doesn't make any sense.
And maybe
Are
one
you going to switch
maybe,
off every drive?
Maybe one quarterback.
Just go every other play.
Maybe one quarterback. The set of third downs that he's dealing with are an average of 3rd and 9, and the other guy maybe got a little bit more run support, and so he's averaging a 3rd and 3. So maybe it looks a little bit better. You see how the minutia of all this could absolutely go back and forth. It really is not going. I am convinced though, and the reason Jeremy's kind of right on this is that you absolutely might not know what you have until actual games are played with these two guys. Now, we've seen both these guys in games, but I'm saying right now, with the pressure on, it's different. And so here's what A-Rod said about the quarterback situation. You should be excited because he actually feels really, really good about whichever one goes in the game and is playing.
I don't know. It's a daily conversation. I don't want to take it all the way to game time, but we do have some practice time left, and I feel like both of them are prepared. They've both had enough reps in camp that they could play in a game. We're working our way through it still.
Camp closes officially after Wednesday, okay? Give me a percentage chance that they name that starter after that Wednesday practice. Now, when's their next availability? We haven't heard yet because we don't know their availability because they're actually
They
in
haven't
game.
set their game schedule,
Right.
game week schedule for
So
media yet.
camp closes on Wednesday. I'm assuming you might get something at the end of camp from maybe a player or two. Maybe not, but as everything fires up on that Thursday and Friday, we can expect that these coaches, at least Kalani, will have to be in front of people. Do they trot out the starter this week, do you think, by the end of the week?
They need to. I hope they do.
How do you game prep
I'm
then?
skeptical.
Because you have to go Jeremy's route of, let's give them both a half or whatever. You have to go that route if you're not going to pick one when you're actually planning on a game. And I get it. You don't have to tell us. That might be the other thing. They might know, pick their guy, and not tell us. That could be a thing too. They might not know. They roll the dice and say, we're going to name this guy, and then he gets to start, and it's yet to be seen if it's going to be successful or not. So he's had this happen before, and like I said, part of that scenario is he absolutely is fine rolling it out to where you don't know who the starter is going to be until the game actually starts.
I hope that it wouldn't, but I'm not surprised, and I've been through this before where it's been close like this. Zach and Jaron was a similar deal with those two. Had a similar deal with Zach and Tanner Mangum that one year, then had a pretty close deal with Jaron and Baylor. All of those went all the way up to game week.
Yes, the classic Jaron Hall, Baylor Romney fight back a couple of years ago. You forgot about that one, right?
Well, there was a tremendous quarterback battle in 2020 between Zach Wilson and Jaron Hall.
Yeah, and it was, and
you
they
see
named Zach.
Yes, but Jaron really truly pushed him, and it's pretty obvious why. Jaron was an NFL quarterback too. I think we're dealing with a different situation here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, here's why it's becoming so difficult. Both guys are playing really stinking good, apparently.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. It's, just someone who just moves the team and scores touchdowns, and I was hopeful that would be more clear than it is by now. But I think it's been a matter of both of them playing well, not that neither one of them has seized the day, seized the job. So we'll keep working our way through it a little bit longer.
Okay. A-Rod knows. He's got that smirk. I can hear the smirk on his face. I'm okay with that because he's going to know way more than you and I, JJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to know way more than we do. And he's the guy who's going to make the decision. In fact, he actually brought that up because it was like, is it going to be you or Kalani? How does that decision get made? I bet you might see Kalani. No, I bet A-Rod's the one who rolls it out and says who the actual starter is, but it's going to be A-Rod's choice.
I'll run it through him. He's pretty great about trusting his coaches to do their jobs, and that goes for everybody. He trusts all the coaches to play who they think is best for the job, and I will definitely be talking to him. We talk about it every single day, and I'll talk to him. I'll talk to Jay Hill. I'll talk to Fessy, my whole staff on offense. I'll gather information from everyone, and then the ultimate decision will be on my shoulders, and I'm good with that. I'm used to this.
You know what? That's what you do. You sit down with Fessy and Jay Hill. Get your defensive coordinator to go, I'll tell you the guy who is going to cause some problems because he causes problems for us more. And maybe that's a decision maker. Maybe that helps weigh it out. See, I like all those. I like the battle. I do not think that I know anything about which quarterback should be the one making the start. It just is annoying as hell to have to wait so long. And I think that it's not actually – I don't think they're being totally truthful when they say they're both playing like it's a photo finish. I just don't think that that's the case.
I think they're being honest. I don't think they know. I don't think they know. And I don't think that you're right. I think you actually brought it up earlier. I think you're right that they're not going to know until these guys are in the line of fire. They've seen one guy already in the line of fire last year and it didn't go well. They know the other guy has had success in the line of fire, but he's also lost his job 2 times.
Yeah.
So you have these positives and then you have to deal with the negative. And maybe negative is too harsh of a word for it, but you have a history here with both of these guys that you have to include in this as well, because it's got to help you make the decision. Because past performance matters. What else do you have to go on here? You can't just go on what happened in camp. You can't. You gotta see what's happened in the past and what they've been able to do in the past. And if you look at resumes, Gary's is more impressive because he did it at a Power 4 level.
Hey, Jeremy.
Jake did a lot of cool stuff, but it was at JUCO.
We got some homework for you tonight. Can you fire up BYU's schedule tonight and do your experiment?
Do a simulation?
Yes. Quarter. JJ, you good with that?
Yeah.
Play the Salukis, game 1, and
See what the computer tells me.
let's toss a coin here.
I can just do one of each, maybe.
That's what I'm saying is do a quarter for each one. I'm just saying do a quarter for each one.
I'll see if that's possible.
You could take a quarterback. You can probably put him back in again if you'd like. Why wouldn't you be able to? You can do that in regular games, right?
I know, but if I'm simulating the game, it may just...
No. You got to play it, brother.
Oh, then it's on me to...
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I'm relying on your skills as a game player. No, don't do the sim. No, when
That's
you
what I
press
thought you
this,
meant. Okay.
when you press this, the simulation is going to be you play a quarter with Bohannon, a quarter with Retzlaff, a quarter with Bohannon, a quarter with Retzlaff, and you give us the results. And I want the full stat breakdown. Can we do this tomorrow?
Yeah.
I want the full stat breakdown. I want you writing it all down. I want quarter by quarter action.
Oh, I'm play calling too. What I'm dialing up.
No, I don't need you. Listen.
4 verts every play.
Just try to call plays that would be along the lines of what A-Rod would do.
Okay,
all right,
gotcha.
So third and 7, you've got to run the football, obviously.
Draw play, right? So who starts? Who do I put in the?
That's what I was just going to
position?
say. Who do you want to start?
Gary.
Go with Gary. He's the senior. I feel like he has the edge, at least from that sense.
I'm on record. I think Gary's going to win the job.
Okay. So let's put Gary Bohannon in first. You play your version of the simulation tonight. You're playing Southern Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Do it.
Done. I got it.
Okay.
Homework.
That's your homework.
We will have the results of the simulation.
I can't wait.
Tomorrow.
That's as exciting for me.
When I lose 36-5, that's
Don't play it on Heisman, dude.
No, definitely not.
Don't play it on Heisman.
I'm still working on a lower level with my Utah State Aggies right now.
What is the thing? Oh, you're the Ags? That's awesome.
I'm like 6-4 right now, so it's okay.
Hey, Dillingham might keep his job then. That's awesome.
They just named a starting quarterback.
Spencer Petras?
No, the Sam Levitt.
Oh, no. I was talking about
Coach Dryling.
I thought you said I thought you said Utah State.
Yeah, you said Dillingham inadvertently.
Oh, sorry. Dryling.
Yeah, it threw me off.
No. Arizona State did name their quarterback. We're going to do probably 35 or 40 minutes on that.
Who played a year at Pleasant Grove High School, by the way.
Hey, he did?
He's played his COVID year at Pleasant Grove.
Nice. All right. We've got more to talk about. Somebody who has seen all the observation periods down there, standing alongside Mitch Harper, has been the other host of Cougar Sports Saturday, Matt Baiamonte. Matt's going to give us a little bit of some insight of what he's seen. He's going to give us his thoughts on this thing. If he's got College Football 25, I'm going to make him do the same. We're going to have all the people we know do the simulation. No, I'm going to call Mitch absolutely in the break. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to start Gary in the first quarter. You're going to play Southern Illinois. You need to write down all the stats. He already got on with Hans and Scotty today. Said that he does research all day on College Football 25. Yeah, that's what it is. It's work. You gotta bill Nate for it.
Those billable hours?
Absolutely. All right, we'll take the break. Matt's going to join us next. We'll get a camp update from him, what he's seen in the observation periods, and then we're going to make him guess who that starting quarterback's going to be. And coming up a little bit later, Alex Kirshner, co-host of the Split Zone Duo podcast, also going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit about this Big 12 and what's going to be happening with this league, and regardless of the quarterback, where BYU and Utah could finish. Stand by. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And now it's time to break down the Cougars.
Give me everything you got right now.
This is your Cougars Daily Update with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. Thanks for being with us on the show. This portion of the program brought to you by the good folks at Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com for all your local, trusted financial fiduciary needs. Matt Baiamonte, he's the other co-host of Cougar Sports Saturday. He and Mitch Harper do a phenomenal job. They also are out watching almost all of these, if not all of the media observation times during camp. We're in week 4 now. Matt, have you come up with who the starter's going to be at quarterback, or are you kind of in the same boat? Like, they're all taking split reps, and I have no idea what's going on.
I have a lean based off what I've seen in the past week, and I feel like I'm leaning towards Jake Retzlaff. At the beginning of camp, I think it was dead even. And there was a moment in the middle of camp where Gary really started to display his athleticism and was throwing the ball really well, and it felt like, wow, Gary's taking the inside edge. But the past week, Jake has been a little bit better. I will also say, guys, like, if you were to ask me, hey, who's been better from day one until now, I could not tell you. I think it is dead even. And that's why I believe this decision has gone on longer than they anticipated, because there hasn't been a clear winner. So then you find yourself nitpicking on who's throwing the ball more accurately, who is scoring bigger chunk plays. Like yesterday, Jake came in, both quarterbacks, Gary and Jake, had a series with the ones and a series with the twos in front of the media. And there were 4 touchdowns. Each guy led both teams to 2 touchdowns. But if you're nitpicking in a quarterback battle, you would say, well, Jake scored on the first play of his first series with twos on a beautiful sideline back shoulder throw to Parker Kingston, 1-play touchdown. That was a chunk play. And then also there was a beautiful goal line fade pass to Cody Epps. And it was defended well. It was just a great throw. And look, stats would say both quarterbacks led to touchdown drives. I just thought Jake was a little bit better. So, man, it's hard. I do believe Aaron Roderick, guys, when he says that he feels like they could win with both. I think there's some pros and cons to both. It'll be a fascinating decision. You have to wonder, too, if Jake having a year of eligibility next year, does that factor in? It's not a situation you'd like to be in. You'd love someone to win the job, but based off what I've seen, like, there has not been a clear, decisive winner of the quarterback battle. And so whoever takes that first snap, it's going to be interesting to see why this coaching staff ultimately went in that direction.
So it's dead even. Do you believe that it's dead even because both guys are like a little bit up and down, or do you believe it's still dead even, but they're still playing at a high level? You see what I'm saying? Like sometimes
I think it's dead even because it's up and down.
There you go.
I think there's been practices where one has been better, but that hasn't been consistent enough, JJ, because like I mentioned yesterday, the past week, Jake's been better, but there was practices prior where it was like, oh man, Gary's dual threat ability, and he's throwing the ball well, like, you got to go that way. So no one has been consistent enough to win the job. Ultimately, there's been some highs, some lows. We saw in that footage put out by BYU from the scrimmage last Saturday that there were interceptions thrown too. So, and some of it's Gary, some of it's Jake. So it's fascinating. I will say this though, I don't believe you need to have great quarterback play from either of them to exceed expectations. I think there's other positions that are more critical to have a successful season than the quarterback battle.
Let me ask you this, Matt, because I guess I'm probably just trying to convince myself that it's okay you don't know who the starting quarterback is, BYU fans, because the reality is you got to figure out your run game. Maybe first, how have the running backs looked? Because I know that's been a question mark. They keep talking about how LJ Martin is he's fine. He's 100%. He'll be able to go. It's great. But what have you noticed in observation about the running backs in that running back room, and what kind of a faux depth chart you might see at the start of the season?
A faux depth chart right now, I think, would be 1A LJ Martin and 1B Hinckley, Falau, Ropati, and I would not be shocked at all if Ropati gets the most carries in the opener. He's the guy we've seen the most with the ones. We've started to see LJ a little bit, which has been nice because that sort of backs up the credence to he's available, he's working, because we were hearing that to start camp, but we were never seeing him in team. It was like, okay, that's great that he's here, but he's not getting any team reps, which we've been told are the most valuable reps when determining two deep and roles and rotations. It was always Ropati getting the bulk of the work, and then Miles Davis. We're starting to see LJ mix in. I think Ropati's been the best running back in camp. I really like his shiftiness. He's really elusive. He's finally healthy. He hasn't been healthy in a long time. I'm really high on Falau Ropati. I think he's a dynamic playmaker in space. I think he's the most agile and shiftiest running back that BYU has. I think he's the most dangerous running back BYU has in the pass game as well. LJ is a really good north and south runner. I think he can break tackles, and I'm curious to see what he does in his sophomore campaign. But, man, I'm really high on Falau Ropati, and I think he's going to be a real surprise this year for BYU fans.
And that's a good point that, if the run game's not better, the quarterbacks they're going to struggle no matter what. And it really comes down to the offensive line play, which was not good last year. We've talked about it many times. The offensive line knows it. They've admitted it, and it has to get better. Do you believe it is better? Based on your observations and people you've talked to, is the offensive line performance in fall camp entering the season better than it was last year?
It's better, for sure. And I would say both the offensive and defensive line guys have really showed well in camp, and I feel comfortable in saying they'll be improved. Will they be improved enough to exceed expectations and get back to a bowl game? Hard to say, because there's football has gotten to a point, and it totally makes sense to me. This is no knock on football, but there's just not a lot of full pads on live work. Like even at the scrimmage, Connie said yesterday they ran 120 plays, but only 60% of those were live. So 40% of these 120 plays at the scrimmage were thud. It wasn't full football. So it's hard to gain a true sense. But the reason I do believe it's improved is I have seen on the offensive side of the football holes made, even though defenders aren't coming in and tackling and filling the holes. There's been holes made to where running backs are getting to the second and third levels more so than I saw last year, which makes me believe, okay, there's some chemistry here. There's some toughness. Last time I was on, I alluded to that little skirmish, might be too strong of a word, but when the Lapuaho was giving some grief to Micah Harper, you loved it. I don't remember seeing that last year, quite frankly. And then on the defensive side of the ball, there's so much leniency given to letting a play finish, but there's been, I don't know, off the top of my head, a dozen times where in a real live game, it's a sack or the quarterback throws the ball away. We see that time and time again. That encourages me because the defensive line last year, the sacks were low. The pressures were low. That's just not good enough. You can't create turnovers consistently if you're not pressuring the quarterback. I think that's improved. So, and those are the two areas of this team, guys. If they're not improved, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Doesn't matter who the running back is. Doesn't matter that this wide receiver group is deep and as talented as it's ever been. None of that matters if there's no time provided, if the running game is not there because the line is failing. And then defensively, look, you have a great secondary. That safety room is great. I feel comfortable saying great, even though there's some walk-ons there and there's some not highly recruited guys. I love that safety room. And then Jacob Robinson is as good of a cornerback BYU's ever had, but it's not going to matter if Tyler Batty doesn't get some help on the defensive line, and I think he has it. So those are the trenches ultimately is what's going to determine the success for BYU football.
Matt, you talked a little bit about making that step forward, even if the quarterback battle isn't like totally figured out. Either one of these guys could help this team improve. So what is the biggest improvement aside from getting a starting quarterback who could lead the team? What makes you so confident that they can improve on that 2-7 first, go in the Big 12 from last year?
Last year was such an interesting year in so many regards, because offensively, there was a moment in the first quarter of the season where you felt like it was coming together, and that's the Arkansas game. And then even the Kansas game, it's easy to forget that Keaton Slovis threw for a lot of yards, and like the offense looked good. They just turned it over so much. And then after that, injuries piled up, and then the offensive line was a mess, and it went downhill from there. To me, and I've said this before, whether it's Jake or Gary, at the end of the day, what matters to me, success for this offense and showing improvement will be, can they be improved in the pass game? So much is discussed about the run game, and it wasn't any good, and blah, 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 whatever. BYU football its identity is with the pass game. They have to be able to throw the football well. And last year, they did not throw the ball well at all, especially in the later part of the year when it started to resurface. In a lot of respects, Cody Epps getting back and providing an intermediate to short game was so big in that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State game. They've got to get back to throwing the ball consistently, because you cannot rely on a chunk play here, but then you're trying to establish the run. I think for BYU football to be successful, they got to rely on those wide receiver weapons that they have. They got to use them. That doesn't mean throw the ball 80% of the time, but if they could find a pass game like we saw yesterday, quite frankly, they were moving the ball well, intermediate to deep chunk plays with both quarterbacks. Whoever can move the ball consistently through the air, convert third downs, that to me is where they need to have the most improvement if they want to have a good year. I think the run game will be better just because I think the offensive line will be better, but which quarterback is going to gel with the receivers and take the pass game to another level? Because when the pass game was working, BYU football is good. And last year when BYU football looked the best, it wasn't because they were running the football great. It's because they were throwing the ball well at Arkansas and at Kansas. So to me, it's the pass game. Which quarterback can connect consistently in that regard, moving the football down the field?
Do you think BYU will make their quarterback announcement before the first snap on August 31st?
I do. I actually do. I wasn't surprised at all that we didn't find out yesterday, which was sort of like the end of camp. They're starting to work in game preparations. I think we'll find out on Monday. Monday is kind of when Kalani Sitake will have a Zoom with the media and talk about the depth chart that'll be released. I think Monday we find out. I think there's too many benefits to a team to say, this is the guy. We're going to give him the reps. We're going to focus on the game plan with this guy, plan on this. If you let it stretch all the way until game day, sure, there's the element of surprise, but I don't know if enough is to be gained with your opponent. You're expected to win this game by a lot. Let's name someone, and so the team can rally around him. The fans can be prepared to support that person. I think there's a lot more to gain from naming someone before the opener rather than the element of surprise.
He's Matt Baiamonte. You can join he and Mitch Harper both on Cougar Sports Saturday. They do a phenomenal job, and they also have been logging all of their thoughts on the media observation. You can go to KSLSports.com and get the full download from both he and Mitch, and so it's phenomenal. You guys do a great job. And, Matt, we're looking forward to another wild season. When camp wraps up, I just imagine that they're gonna roll out. Everybody's gonna come out there. They're gonna get the confetti cannons. They're gonna make the announcement of who the starter is on Wednesday afternoon or on Thursday afternoon, whenever they're going to give another media availability this week, and then we can all go from there. We can all just shut up and start getting excited for the season. And then when that quarterback isn't playing well, everyone starts calling for his head, and then go, I can't believe they made that decision.
Alex, that's the key though. Whoever wins the job, because it's so close, I feel like there does need to be a short leash. their production's got to be there early. Otherwise,
they'll absolutely be scared out of their minds that if they make a misstep, that if it's this close, if they make a misstep, that they feel like they're going to get canned.
going to struggle. I'm telling you right now, guys. No. If that's the case, if there's a short leash and there's this guy's ready behind you stuff going on, there's going to be problems. That offense will struggle. They're not going to know who their leader is. You can't have that stuff. You got to give guy room to make mistakes, to grow and win over the team and get the offense on a roll. You do that, you're in trouble.
I think you go a full season. You'd be the first university ever to split reps the entire season. Everybody gets a quarter. Everybody gets a quarter. So how many games is that? Let me see here. So
obviously it's 12.
So you go 12 games, and then you go 4 quarters, and that would mean everybody gets. So
48.
That's
24.
Are you splitting it 5 ways though?
No. Just the. No. Everybody gets 30 quarters. So
how many
12,
quarterbacks get in on this?
Right, 12 times the 4. So they're going to be.
Cue the Saturday Night Live clip.
Throw Hagen in there.
Chase. I was told there would be no math.
Okay, I was told there would be no math. So 24 quarters apiece. I'm really looking forward to Gary Bohannon's 24 quarters. I'm really looking forward to Jake Retzlaff's 24 quarters. So there you go. That's how I'm going to take this thing. All right. Matt Baiamonte, Cougar Sports Saturday. Matt, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for putting up with us, man.
Anytime, guys. Have a good one.
There you go. Matt Baiamonte. We're going to take the quick break here. We'll come back with a Would You Rather. Stay right here. Nominate that youth sports volunteer that you know, by the way, for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest. Nominate your youth sports volunteer, the team mom, the guy who put the name on the jerseys at his own cost or whatever it might be. Man, there's one of our kids' teams. Some dad bought all these different stickers for the backs of helmets, for big hits, for pancake blocks, and these kids putting their stickers on the back of the helmet. Like, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
You have this kind of stuff, you can honor the people who have done such a phenomenal job with your kids in the youth sports program, wherever you're at. And maybe it's a city employee who does a phenomenal job. We want all of it. Nominate that youth sports volunteer, KSLSports.com/contest. They'll get $50 from Hercules Credit Union, and they'll also get $200 to go toward Beehive Meals. $250, man. Come on. Submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest for the Hercules Hero of the Week. We'll come back with a Would You Rather. Stay here, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody. Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Would you rather? Easy game that we play here. Give you a scenario. You tell me which one you'd rather do. Okay? Would you rather have BYU name the quarterback and good, bad, or ugly stick with that person? Or they struggle a little bit and boom, they're pulled at any sign of trouble?
Got to stick with that person.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
See, normally I say there's
unless it becomes a complete dumpster fire.
Normally I say there's not a right answer on this, but that you had the wrong answer.
I am an idiot.
I mean, I know it's your opinion, but I mean, okay, so what's a version of like not doing well versus a total disaster?
Well, if you've thrown 5 picks in a game and the offense isn't moving, then you've got to make a change. But if, say, for instance, like Keaton Slovis's game at Kansas last year.
Looked bad.
Okay. Did BYU need to pull the panic button at that point and bench him?
Probably not.
I don't know how that would have been. Obviously, things didn't go well after that. That was really the turning point in BYU's season last year. But at that moment, should they have gone to Jake Retzlaff and that would have been the solution? You get my point? Like, sometimes you overreact to something bad that happens. It's football. Stuff happens. And quarterbacks are human. They make bad decisions. Once you bench a quarterback, you're done. He's done. The fans turn on him. Coaches lose confidence. The player loses confidence. And if you want to do that at Game 5 and push the panic button, go right ahead. But I guarantee you're not winning much after that unless you've got somebody special waiting in the wings. And if that person was just a little bit, I don't know, right back even with them in camp, that's not enough for me to pull the trigger that quick.
All right.
You may be right. Maybe in this decision, so we saw Jake Retzlaff when we saw what happened last year in the 4 games, 1-0-4. The Oklahoma pass, the interception at the goal line was brutal. If you start seeing that kind of stuff again, and he's the guy, and you've got a senior on your bench that won a Big 12 championship, maybe you pull the trigger a little quicker.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong there, but ultimately, in most cases, 95% of the time, you have got to make a choice, and that's what camp's for. That's what spring into camp is for. Decide who your guy is, make that choice, let him go out there and do it, and don't be in his head all the time about making a mistake because he will not be able to make plays for you.
Hey, kid, we wish you the best of luck. If you fumble this ball once, you're gone. That'll really elicit some if you throw one interception, the season's over.
Reminds me of high school football.
I know. Your experience.
I know from experience.
Was Brian Flores your
Worse.
I think we all had.
We'll get to that later.
We all had that mean head coach who said some things that he wasn't accountable for because he was, a high school teacher / coach. And look, the reality is probably your driver's ed teacher too.
Usually.
That was how it kind of went.
They had to teach something.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's take a break. Oh, well, I've got this one, though.
We got time.
Would you rather watch an NFL superstar race a track star or a track star try his hand at the NFL?
One will be full of unintentional comedy. The other is actually interesting. I do want to watch Tyreek Hill versus Noah Lyles.
We'll bring that up,
I
too.
do not want to watch Noah Lyles try to play football.
The thing is you know how it'll go. By the way, this is a world, if you're the fastest man on the planet, you don't do other sports. Maybe you dabbled as a young person, but once you get tapped with that talent, it's years of curating that talent for that very specific thing. I bet Noah Lyles drops every ball that gets thrown to him. Like you would never think to yourself, is this guy an athlete? Because the ball, he runs down the field faster than anybody. The ball finally gets to him, and then it just bricks right off of his hands. You can't make him a punt returner, Jeremy. No way. That thing's going straight? What they'd have to do is have two returners back there. The one guy catches it and just hands it off to Noah Lyles. You know what? That's not a bad idea.
What happens when Noah Lyles runs a dig route and the quarterback throws it too high and a linebacker absolutely annihilates his ribs?
Could you imagine?
And they have to grab all of his body parts and throw them in a bag and haul him off the field. Like he would just be absolutely dead.
I would wear, if I made a roster, if I was Noah Lyles, I would wear the gold medal around my neck. And I would just say, this is a piece of jewelry, NFL.
The gold medal while you're
right
running
here.
routes.
You know how guys always have to tuck in like a big chunk of gold. My favorite is one, I can't remember what game it was. It was a couple years ago. There was a guy lost who was it that lost like a 4-carat earring? You remember this? And so then the whole team is holding hands across the field looking over the field.
It was Julio Jones.
It was?
$150,000 earring.
No!
It was back in 2017.
Did they find it?
He hired a dive team.
Oh, what? Was it at that Tampa Stadium in that one weird pool?
He lost it in a lake. He didn't lose it in a football game.
I thought it was somebody lost one in a game.
Well,
because
it was Deshaun. No, sorry. Deshaun Jackson lost a diamond earring on the field.
Yes. And I don't know if he got it back. Because you know what that is? Ball boy.
He did not get it back.
The ball boy. This is nice. One singular earring for sale.
So the fact that there's multiple stories about NFL wide receivers losing between $100,000 and $150,000 earrings in different circumstances is all you need to know about the NFL and their receivers.
But the gold medal, we found out only has 1% gold in it. So the medals back in 1904 or whatever were 100% gold. This year they were 1%. I think they're worth $38.
Multiple stories. Des Bryant lost an earring.
See?
A diamond earring. There was a Dolphins player Kendall Langford lost a 2.5-carat diamond earring.
Jeez, these guys need to settle down.
That was a while.
That's my
that was
favorite move. Just take them
out.
Just take them out before you leave the house.
This is a recurring problem for NFL receivers.
But here's the problem though too, because they're also rolling the dice if they keep it at home. Because how many times are guys
in an altercation?
I know. How many guys are on the road and they get their house robbed while they're on a road trip? That's also a thing that happens.
That does happen.
So you either have to wear them or the locker rooms aren't safe either. Ask Tom Brady about a Super Bowl jersey. Ask the entire Colorado team, who had apparently bags of money in the locker room. What is their freaking problem? All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Alex Kirshner, co-host of the Split Zone Duo podcast. He's going to join us. He's going to give us his thoughts on the upcoming season for the Big 12. Very animated. If you haven't listened to the podcast, if you haven't heard what they do, it's a three-headed monster of them breaking down all things college football. So we'll get to Alex Kirshner next. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Our show, as always, is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar the protein bar that doesn't quit. And it's perfect for anybody who needs that quick, tasty, and nutritious boost. You can find them at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods, and grocers near you, popping up more and more in the refrigerated section. So there you go. Let's get to the cut. We've got a guest on here, Alex Kirshner, who's the co-host of the Split Zone Duo podcast. Let's get to it. It's the top of the hour. It's the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And this portion of the show brought to you by the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug and the Doug Smith dealerships. Alex Kirshner, first time on the program with us. It's always good to have a fellow Alex on the program. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be with another Alex. We are legion. Excited to be a majority.
Yeah, look,
I'm just going to step out, let you guys chat.
Hey, listen, we would
I'm not in the Alex Club.
We'd be fine without you.
I'm sure you would. You don't need me here.
Listen, we've got lots to talk about with college football, Alex, and one of the things that we are absolutely excited about is here the rivalry game between Utah and BYU is back as conference mates again, and that's something that is a warm blanket for, or it's also a point of absolute disgust for some fans who wish that game never gets played again. I never understand that, but Utah and BYU back in the Big 12 again. What's the new version of the Big 12 look like for you and how it plays out with this new 16-team lineup?
I think the exciting thing about it is that there will be parity pretty much up and down. I think you can look in any given season and find one or two teams who aren't really going to be a factor. And if you look this year, it's pretty clear that Houston is not going to be a factor, and Arizona State is probably a bit too far away from being a factor. But there's, 16 other teams in this league, I believe it is, or 14 other teams in this league. And I think it's 16. I think it's an 18-team league. And, you could squint and see maybe 6 of them winning the conference and, 12, 13, 14 being bowl caliber teams who can beat anybody on any given Saturday. So I just think that we have not seen a power conference in a lot of years without big fish kind of towering over everybody else, to mix metaphors a little bit there. And I think this is just a league with a lot of solid programs, none of whom are maybe a national blue blood who you think could win a national title, but many of whom play good football, have good stadium environments, and will produce a lot of fun games. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that gels.
You said there's a lot of good programs in the Big 12, and I agree. But who do you believe are the true contenders for a conference title out of that group of good teams?
Yeah, I think Utah certainly, coming into the league, has the pieces to win the conference. So much depends on how Cam Rising and Brant Keithy, the quarterback and tight end, do after missing an entire year. But if those guys are something like what they were in 2022, I think that's a great place to start. And you know that there will be continued line play development on both sides of the ball. I'm kind of interested in the Utah receiver room this year, too, which seems like it's a bit more talented and a bit deeper than it's typically been under Kyle Whittingham. So I like Utah. I really like Kansas State. I trust Chris Kleiman a lot, just the way that he coaches football. They are replacing some guys on offense in particular who are really important to the way that they play, this gap-running, very physical system that they run, and they also lost their offensive coordinator, Colin Klein. But I like what they have. I like their quarterback, Avery Johnson, who's going to play for them this year. And I like Kansas as well. I think that Jalen Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, could be a Heisman Trophy contender this year, should be a Heisman Trophy contender this year, and is coached by one of the best in the business, in Lance Leipold. So those are the three that are probably at the top of my mind. But, you know, it wouldn't stun me if you saw Oklahoma State making some kind of move this year, if you saw maybe a bounce back from TCU. And I also think one that's interesting this year that's kind of receded the past year is Iowa State, which has some players and has finally started to restock a bit after a bit of a down period when they lost some important players to the NFL. So it is to me the most wide open conference title race of the power leagues for sure.
We talk about Cam Rising and how big of a deal it is for him to come back to Utah. We were having this discussion earlier because Jalen Daniels also has had, mixed health. Now, obviously, a full knee replacement for Cam Rising and missing all of last year. I just think it's interesting because a lot of people will go, well, yeah, Cam Rising, you don't know what you're going to get with him. But Jalen Daniels, he's at the top of everybody's list of a lot of folks saying that he's going to be an amazing quarterback. Where do you think the reality is for a guy like Cam Rising coming back after a full year? This is a guy who took Utah to 2 Pac-12 championships before he got hurt.
It's a great question. It seems like that was a pretty severe injury that he dealt with last year, and if it wasn't, we would have seen him. So I could go either direction on it, and I think the best thing is to figure that he's probably pretty good and that there's room for him to just continue his development and be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And there also, there is room for him to decline, as happens sometimes when people get hurt, and you just have to sort of wait and see. But given the upside, given the track record, there aren't a ton of teams in college football that would rather have somebody else leading them out of the tunnel in week one than Utah probably has, than the way that Utah feels bringing out Cam Rising.
You look around the Big 12, and there's so many great offenses. I'm excited to see Avery Johnson quarterbacking Kansas State. I think he's going to be terrific. You mentioned Jalen Daniels. A lot of great quarterbacks, receivers, running backs. But for Utah, do you think their defense is going to be the separating factor for them in winning a conference championship? Because you look around the Big 12, and I'm not sure you see defenses quite as stacked as theirs and quite as physical.
No, Utah's always going to play good defense. I think this is just an area where you trust Kyle Whittingham and you trust Morgan Scalley. They lost good players. I remember Jonah Ellis, one of the best edge rushers in the game. I really liked Sione Vaki, the safety who played some running back for them last year. They always seem to churn out a plethora of pretty good defensive players who many of whom go on and play pretty well in the NFL. I don't know exactly who's going to be, the guy for them on that side of the ball this year, but I just think Whittingham's been doing it so well for so long that you figure someone will, and that there are probably a couple guys dotted around that defense who you're going to see at the end of the year on all Big 12 teams. And it's just an area where if you're a Utah person, you probably don't worry that much because you've seen it before.
As you kind of look at the full conference, top to bottom, there are a lot of teams that last year even shocked us, and you could see some of these teams, like you said, you could squint and convince yourself on a couple of these teams. And I know the BYU fans are hoping that they could be this year's, fill in the blank, West Virginia from last year. What are the possibilities that the Cougars have of being better than what's going on at their quarterback battle right now, which has kind of put them a little bit, at least in a lot of people's minds, behind the 8 ball because they haven't chosen a starter yet. Both are looking very, very good or just haven't been able to outperform one another. What do you think BYU's chances are of being a bowl-eligible type team this year and maybe even punching up a weight class?
I think bowl is probably the goal. I think you look at and you see if you can win 6, that's pretty good. It's interesting that you said the quarterback battle hasn't been resolved yet. I was kind of figuring before the year that it would be Gary Bohannon, who's on his 3rd school, I believe, after stops at Baylor and USF. Mm-hmm. It does feel like BYU doesn't have the gear right now that it had at points the last 4 or 5 years. And I don't just mean in the COVID year where Zach Wilson went nuts, but I mean there was a period of time where it felt like BYU was a stone-cold lock to churn out 2 to 3 really game-breaking receivers every year who just weren't guys that the kinds of defenses they were facing could answer. And, I think they've had a little bit of a dry spell in that regard. There hasn't been in the last couple of years a Puka Nacua or a Gunnar Romney or a take your pick. But at the same time, you go to the Big 12 where you're facing pretty good defense, week in and week out. And I just think it's tougher to find that explosive dimension offensively. I think the thing that I'll be interested in this year is whether they can start to recapture that, and in particular, whether at the skill positions they find something that seemed to be lacking last year.
What's more likely, 2 Big 12 teams make the playoffs or the champion gets the 3 seed?
I think the champion getting the 3 seed is likelier than 2 making it. I think it's going to be tough for the ACC and the Big 12 to get multiple teams into the playoff. Though if I were to guess, I would say one of them probably will get a second team, and it's possible that both do. But I think it's quite reasonable to think that, if Utah or Kansas State runs through this league, goes 10-3 through the conference championship, and maybe the ACC winner loses a similar amount of games in what's generally seen as a slightly weaker conference, I think, by a lot of people. Wouldn't be very surprising at all if the Big 12 champion were able to take the 3 spot.
We've watched the insanity of realignment, of course, play out, and now it comes to fruition this year. We have the actual teams that you thought would never go to a conference like that they're going to, USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon being in the Big Ten, and then, of course, Stanford and Cal in the ACC, massive joke. Obviously, Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC is a big deal, but now with everything kind of settled here, what does the next mix-up look like? What does the reality of the next realignment look like?
I think we're going to have to wait and see. I think that we're in a period right now where there will be – excuse me, I'm getting text message beeps as I speak to you. I'm making sure that's happening. But where there will be a bit of a period of calm. And I think there are a couple of reasons for that. I think the first one is just that these deals that the Big Ten and the SEC signed last for a while. And typically a realignment wave at this point, at least at the level that you're describing, is going to be started at the top. And those 2 leagues have incentive to be pretty quiet for a while. But also I think the regulatory uncertainty around college sports right now just doesn't lend itself too much to continued realignment. I am by no means saying that there will never again be realignment, but I think that sorting out things like revenue sharing and the House settlement that every athletic director in America is intently focused on right now are going to take some priority before there's really an environment for realignment deal making again over the next few years. So I think you can sit back for a little bit and think that things will be fairly quiet at the power conference level. But that's not going to hold forever. And I think you'd be very naive to think it will hold forever. And, my suspicion is that whenever that next round comes, it will just be further consolidation. And, I'm an alum of the University of Maryland. It's good for my school, my alma mater, that they're in the Big Ten. But I question if Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State and USC and Oregon are going to forever be willing to just share revenue equally with the Marylands and the Minnesotas and the Purdues and the Rutgers of the world. And I think that's the tension that's going to probably unfold into something more serious by the next round of realignment.
There's a narrative building that Georgia and Ohio State are the only 2 teams that can win it this year because they're just better than everybody else. Do you agree with that? And if not, who's a team out there that could stun one of those 2 and win a national championship?
I mean, I think both Texas and Oregon are in a very similar class of talent to Ohio State and Georgia. I would agree that Ohio State and Georgia look like the top 2 as we sit here, but by no means are they the only 2 that could win it. I think that I would be pretty surprised if it were somebody from outside that group of 4, including Texas and Oregon. But, I mean, you could tell me that there have been crazier things that have happened than Alabama, keeping things together in Kalen DeBoer's first year and winning some playoff games and giving it a serious run. You could shock me more than if you told me that, a program like LSU or Tennessee, if one of their redshirt freshman quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier, Nico Iamaleava, has a big year, that they could make a run. I think that, there is a clear class of like the best of the best, but given the variability of the 12-team playoff and how much talent there is in college football right now in general, I don't think it's just those 2.
As we are just a couple of weeks away from, I guess like the week 1. The week 0s I never really – well, we don't pay that much attention to. Although we're so desperate for football, they know that too. So they'll throw anything in front of us, and we, like the clowns that we are, we will absolutely watch all of it. But the very beginning of the season, What are the games that catch your interest? Like, hey, watch out for that one. Those are some big time ones, and I think now that teams can lose a game or two and not feel like that their entire season's over. Has that helped the game and be able to make matchups that are a little bit more substantial at the beginning of the season?
It's funny because there's incentives pulling in both directions for that. I think on the one hand, it is nice that if you lose a second game in the beginning of October or the end of September, that your national title hopes are not gone. I think that people will be more inclined at more programs to stay engaged with the college football season for longer. And I think that's generally a good thing. Like, you want people to feel like they have a chance, like they're included. And now if it's, the second week of November and your team is ranked 16th, you're still very much in the national title race. And for that matter, if you're a fan of a group of 5 team and you're in third place in the American Athletic in early November, you still technically have a shot at the national championship. And so I do think that's good. But it doesn't come without a cost. Part of what's great about this sport is that when Chris Davis for Auburn catches the short field goal by Alabama and runs it back 109 yards, that's Alabama's season ending right there. There's stakes that were inherent to the college football regular season because you could only lose one and maybe not even that and still have a national championship hope most years. And, that going away is not nothing. I mean, I don't think that by any means it ruins the season. I think that, the last couple of years, everyone understood that, the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game might still have an opportunity to play the playoff, but it's not like those games didn't feel big. But, I understand the people who will miss it, that, you used to not have that margin for error, and that made a lot of games a little bit more special.
Which conference out there is going to be the most entertaining this year? The one that you'd think is going to just going to be so much fun to watch, interesting storylines, close battles, all that kind of stuff.
Honestly, I love the Sun Belt. I don't say that to sound like a hipster.
How about some Sun Belt love? I love it.
I really like the Sun Belt. I think this is the one conference that has kind of cut against the realignment grain in that the Sun Belt has focused on maintaining a cohesive geographic identity. They've brought in schools that have legitimate rivalries with one another. Appalachian State and Georgia Southern have a decades-old rivalry from FCS where they're both national championship programs. Sun Belt brought them in about 10 years ago now. You've seen them add more schools in the last handful of years that that recruit against each other, whose fan bases can easily drive to the opponent's stadiums and make for fun atmospheres at those games. You see that when South Alabama plays Southern Miss, for example. And I just think that there is, there's something pretty cool in a moment where television brand value has driven so much college football decision-making that a league like the Sun Belt exists. And I also think the football happens to be pretty good. I think the game in Boone, North Carolina at App State at the end of September against Liberty is going to be one of the lower-key great games of the season in college football, and could wind up determining a playoff spot in this new world.
Alex Kirshner, you can follow he and his fellow co-hosts of the Split Zone Duo podcast, and he's got opinions, and you should follow him on social media as well. Really good follow, and it's you get all the breakdowns. Alex, thanks for coming on the program, man, and when the season fires up, we'll lean to you again for some more insights. How about that?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Sorry in advance to anyone who takes your advice and does follow me on social media, but appreciate you guys having me.
There you go. He's got opinions. That's what you want.
The
right?
Sun Belt, that was great. He was ready. He was ready with that one.
Hey, and you know what? He's absolutely aware of the position of Maryland right now in the Big Ten. It's like, hey, you know what? How long can those big schools abide by going, what was his name again down there at the end of the table? Maryland. Am I saying this right? Maryland?
How many playoff appearances you have, Maryland?
How much you getting this year? Full share. All right.
Why are we paying them $50 million? What have they done?
I love when you give them a Southern accent. The Big Ten Southern accent. What team has a Southern accent in the Big Ten?
Well, Brian Kelly did it at LSU.
I told you, listen, this is what happens. When I want to make somebody in an argument look dumber, I give them a Southern accent and lobster hands. Oh, man, that's a real big... Hey, what's going on over there with you guys? You got to give them lobster hands.
Well,
They
it
act
makes,
like they're talking.
it makes them sound.
I'm an important guy over here.
It makes them sound dumb and also shady.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Can you
they're
really
cheating.
trust somebody with a deep Southern accent?
No. Hey,
You know something's up there, right?
yeah, the sticky sweet love is fake.
I'm not sure
right?
you're being genuine with me. That's not your real voice, is it?
Oh, yeah, when they go up 5 octaves. Oh, the Mormon church, I've heard of you guys. Yeah, I like y'all. Sure you do.
Those BYU players sure have a lot of experience.
They're
They got
mature.
a lot of mature
They're
players
mature.
out there, Provo.
Very mature. I like that.
How do we get some of those mature players?
I'd love to really tell you about some of what's going on in my church and how we could help you out. Oh, man, I've heard it all. Look, when you grow up in the South, you get...
You're from Texas.
Yeah,
This is your childhood coming out here.
It is. And I remember a kid handing me a pamphlet, and it was like, you need to read this. And it was like, Mormons are going to hell.
Being LDS in the Bible Belt has to be traumatic.
It was classic stuff. And it was like, the Mormons worship a different Jesus. It was so weird. And they're all, this is like in the elementary bathroom. They're all, you need to read this.
The elementary bathroom.
So my mom told me you need to read this.
So you're telling me that somebody made eye contact at the urinals and handed you a pamphlet?
I think they passed it over the stall. Is that you, Alex? Whoop. Dropped
There's
it over.
never a better place
No, I
to
know.
share your testimony than at the urinal stalls in a bathroom at an elementary school. The perfect time.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go around the corner. And when we do, listen, we've got tons of fun stuff still to go today. You wanted to hear that Noah Lyles audio because he and Tyreek, is it Tyreek? What's the guy's name who runs fast with the football?
Mark.
Hey, Mark, who's the guy who runs fast with the football who wants to race me? I don't even know him. It's like, hey, listen, all right. No one knew who you were until about 6 months ago, all right? But we'll have that audio next, and it's getting spicy. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Sassy.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. I lied. We were going to get to the Noah Lyles stuff, but it's going to be the next segment. Because this one was actually one. This was a fun one because I said, and I'm still asking you not to look. Periodically I go, hey, JJ, we're going to do this story, but I don't want you to see the list beforehand, okay? I'm going to make you guess of where some of these teams are. Now,
I have not looked.
Hasn't looked.
Nope.
Cam Mellor wrote this up. And is for College Football Network. If you collegefootballnetwork.com, if you've ever followed his stuff, does a pretty darn good job. Well, I've got the Big 12. What he has he has. Of course, lists aren't good enough now to just rank. You have to have tiers. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
So you have the rankings, but you also have the tiers. Okay.
What do you prefer, rankings or tiers?
Well, I like both. I want both. I want the rankings, but then also throw at the top. Tier 3, and then nickname the tier. My mom doesn't love me tier of quarterbacks. Like, you know how they have these weird names for tiers? And
Are you mocking every college football writer right now?
Yes. Okay. So let's start off first. Tier 1. I'll let you know there are 2 Tier 1 quarterbacks in the Big 12, according to Cam Mellor. Give me your best 2.
So how many did you say? I missed. How many are
Two
there?
in tier, there's 2 in Tier 1.
Tier 1 quarterbacks.
Yes. Name them
the
for
Big
me.
12.
Yes, according to Cam Mellor.
Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
Avery Johnson. Did I get it?
Nope. Nope.
I came up short on the
in
other
fact,
one. Oh, I know. Okay, can I get a second try?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jalen Daniels.
In fact, number 1 is not even Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders number 2, according to this list. Noah Fafita.
He put Noah Fafita number 1?
Okay.
You know what? He might be right by the end of the season.
I'm okay with it.
I did not expect that.
I don't hate it that much, okay? Tier 2 is well above average. Tier 2 is well above average. So you've got 3, 4, 5. So there's 3 quarterbacks in this one. So you're basically ranking 3, 4, and 5 right now in the Big 12. You already had Noah Fafita, and you already had Shadur Sanders. So who's 3, 4, and 5 for you?
3, 4, and 5. So I mentioned Avery Johnson, so I'll go with that one.
Okay.
I mean, Cam Rising should be in there.
So the answer is no. It's not Avery Johnson. Come on.
Okay.
Just
Cam
think.
Rising?
Dang it. No.
Oh, boy.
You haven't gotten one of the 3. I'm not even asking you to put them in order. I'm asking you. So Cam
Jalen Daniels.
Nope.
What?
Oh, no, sorry. He is number 3. Yes.
He's number
sorry.
3. Oh, so, okay. Jalen Daniels is number 3.
Guess who number 4 is? You won't be able to. So let me just fill it in for
Rocco
you.
Becht? Really? It's not even Rocco Becht? Who are we going with here?
I told you.
Who's left?
And obviously we haven't read off Cam Rising either. So.
KJ Jefferson.
Nope. I did this
What?
exercise earlier.
Who's left?
Oh, don't worry. Baylor's star quarterback, DeQuan Finn.
Baylor?
DeQuan Finn, the transfer out of Toledo.
Who?
Now, he was like the MAC Offensive Player of the Year last year.
We all love some action, but I have no idea who that is.
Number 5 quarterback in the Big 12. Still in the way above average quarterback list.
Garrett Green?
Garrett Green from West Virginia.
Is number 4?
Number 5.
Oh, he's number 5.
So 3 was Jalen Daniels.
So we're down to 5. Okay.
3 was Jalen Daniels. 4 was DeQuan Finn. Garrett Green 5. Now, tier 3 is above average Big 12 quarterbacks. Go ahead.
Cam Rising?
Donovan Smith, Houston, number 6.
What on earth is going on here?
Now number 7.
So we still haven't had Cam Rising. We still haven't have Avery Johnson.
Right.
We don't have KJ Jefferson.
Right.
And
okay, so number
Any of
6.
those.
So now get to number 7.
KJ Jefferson.
Number 7, KJ Jefferson.
Okay. We're still not to Cam Rising.
Number 8 on the list.
Cam Rising?
Cam Rising, number 8.
Oh, hey.
Dead middle of the pack, number 8 according to this list. And that
Oh, my
tier
gosh.
3 is considered the above average.
So where's
quarterbacks.
Avery Johnson?
Okay.
Where's Rocco Becht?
Number 9. Number 9 on the list. Anybody?
Rocco Becht. Avery Johnson. You're still shaking your head on Avery Johnson. We're at 9.
No. Baron Morton out of Texas Tech.
Morton?
Remember when Baron Morton was the 3rd string quarterback last year?
Who's that?
Yep. Number 9. Number 10, the 10th best quarterback according to this list in all of the Big 12.
Rocco Becht.
Avery Johnson. Number 10, Avery Johnson.
So we're still not at Rocco Becht, and we're at 11?
Number 11.
Rocco Becht.
Rocco Becht, you got
finally.
it.
My goodness. I am flunking this guy's course on quarterbacks.
Okay. Number 12. Now, this is average Big 12 quarterbacks. This is the tier of average.
Just average.
Yep.
Josh Hoover?
Josh Hoover is in this tier, but he is not number 12. He's number 13.
Alan Bowman.
You got it.
Okay.
The 19th year man out of Grapevine, Texas, is number 12.
I mean,
on the
Oklahoma
list.
State's got to put somebody back there, right?
13
Somebody
on
to hand
the
the
list
ball off.
is Josh Hoover out of TCU, who lit up BYU for 400 plus
Yeah,
last
he
year,
did.
right?
Yes.
He lit up Baylor, too. Number 14. And you won't get it because you won't remember this guy's name. Brendan Sorsby out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're left with 2 teams.
Tier 5 is work to be done.
Including the one that hasn't named a starter yet.
Yep.
And the other team, I think, named a starter yesterday.
They did.
So it would be
So
Sam
where
Levitt
are
of
they?
Arizona
So
State
where are
is
they?
15, and BYU would be 16th, correct?
BYU
What?
15 with Gary Bohannon and Jake Retzlaff.
Okay.
Now
So I
this
had
is as of 2 days ago, though. So you're right. The thing is, they've named Sam Levitt. There is actually a team that was worse off in the quarterback situation than BYU was in the offseason. Kenny Dillingham's, Sam Levitt, Jeff Sims, Trenton Bourget. Did you know Trenton Bourget is on this list?
Yeah.
The 3-headed monster of them trying to pick a quarterback was in a worse spot, I think. And they might be right. So they have national rankings on this as well. They are ranked as the dead last quarterback room in the entire country. Arizona State.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, BYU is, any guesses? out of 134 teams where that quarterback list is? BYU's national rank.
120?
They're double digits, baby.
Oh, really? Good.
99. Number 99, JJ, on the national quarterback room list. There you go. Number 99. So they just snuck into the double digits. This list was nullified after Cam Rising was listed 8th. Jalen Daniels is 3rd, okay? And their whole thing with Cam Rising is, well, injury last year. Didn't see the field all last year. Jalen Daniels should not have seen the field all last year, by the way. Had 3 games. They were not good. And guess what? A more proven commodity than Cam Rising in this league, it's pretty hard to find one. I'm fine with rolling the dice on Noah Fafita, and I'm fine with putting Shedeur Sanders there because I already know where the NFL stands on Shedeur Sanders. He's a first-round type talent, okay? But Cam Rising being 8th on this list has absolutely – it kind of pissed me off today just seeing it because it just is like somebody that – it's like they made the list and had forgotten about him and went, oh, yeah, where are you going to put him? Like one of his editors like, where are you putting Cam Rising? Oh, my gosh. Did I not put him in there? I don't know. I guess put him at 8. Put him at 8.
How do you put him? How do you put DeQuan Finn ahead of Cam Rising?
DeQuan Finn because he was the MAC offensive player.
Cam Rising's won 2 Pac-12 championships.
Yeah.
And I get he was the MAC player of the year. You're making a move up. It's not an easy transition.
No.
I mean, guys, Cam Moore did it, but the list is short. Like Jake Retzlaff's trying to make that JUCO to Power 4 transition, and it was rough last year for him.
Honestly, you could make the argument that Avery Johnson see, and here's the thing. I don't think you put Avery Johnson like in the top 5.
Yeah, if you're like, okay, we haven't seen enough.
Like
we saw him in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Okay.
KJ Jefferson had a bad year last year. And
still proven.
He never got but why is he ahead of Cam Rising? Why is he ahead of Cam Rising? Why is he ahead of Rocco Beck and Avery Johnson? I don't know if I like it. All right, there you go.
Yeah. We could make our own list and better
I know.
list.
Here's the thing. My goal is to bring you a list that pisses you off once a day.
You did it.
Just a humble goal. Try to do it every
I'm not
day.
even pissed. I'm just confused.
I know. I don't know where these are coming from. It's fine. But that just shows you, too, that I think from a national perspective, a lot of people are like, I don't know what we're getting with the Big 12. I think that's what really we're seeing from this list, right? Just people guessing on the Big 12 and going, I have no freaking clue, man.
That's what makes it fun.
I know.
This is and we asked our last guest what was going to be the most entertaining conference. He said Sun Belt. That's great. That's his opinion. I think the Big 12 by far is going to be the most fascinating, intriguing, entertaining, wild, unpredictable, close games, crazy finishes. It's going to take over Pac-12 after dark. It's going to be Big 12 after dark, although most of the games won't be after dark. You get my point. It's going to be that kind of, are you kidding me kind of stuff going on with this league. I think it's going to be like that.
Brett Yormark. We're going to play a Tuesday afternoon game. You're going to tune in. It's going to be on the CBS network of stations. It's going to be Tuesday afternoon, but only every other Tuesday. Who's with me? Just like...
Hey, it works for the MAC.
A 9 a.m. kickoff on a Wednesday morning. Who's with me? We're just trying to find...
Breakfast with the Big 12.
We're trying to get very creative with our windows. It's like, come on. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Now we're going to have that Noah Lyles audio. And he went on with Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson. And they're trying to get this thing actually put together. So when Noah Lyles was asked about whether or not they actually would race, he has an answer. It's all coming back right around the corner to 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, I'll bite. I'll buy the. I would pay $19.99 for this pay-per-view. I'm not going to go
$20.
I'm not going to go
20.
Oh yeah, I bought the match. But you know it was great. I bought the match. Remember that Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods?
Well, you're a golf guy.
I'm a golf guy. But I bought the match, and you know what happened is they had some streaming issues. I didn't have them, but they refunded me. So I got the match for free. All right?
Good.
So they said, hey, we had some service issues in your area. We're just going to comp you that. I was like, oh, awesome. If Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill actually get on a track and race one another, I will absolutely bite. I'll buy it for $20. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull a Utah move. I'm going to invite 14 friends over, and everybody owes me $1.28. And we'll all watch the game together, okay? Or we'll all watch the race together. But the Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill beef, fake beef, I'm always cynical about this and just assume that they're all trying to get a payday. They went on, Noah Lyles went on Shannon Sharp's Nightcap podcast. Shannon Sharp and Chad Johnson.
Is it Nightcap or the Club Shay Shay? Wait, how many podcasts does Shannon have?
It's a lot. And Chad, don't call me Ocho Cinco Johnson. He and Shannon Sharp talking with Noah Lyles. Here's what they said, and they're in the works trying to figure something out. He says he's willing, so here's what he said on their podcast.
This one, Ocho. We forgot it. Tyreek say he wants some of you, Noah. I can't believe you know who Tyreek is. Don't do that, Noah. You know who Reek is.
I'm gonna be honest. I forget his name all the time. I'm gonna be honest. If it's not about track and it ain't about League of Legends, I got what I studied.
He's saying come get some.
Hey, I'm gonna put it like this. Tyreek is just chasing clout. The man, anytime somebody fast comes up, he says he wants to race him. If he really wanted to race people, he would have showed up like DK Metcalf. And the man raced in the 60 meters this year in the Masters division. The man dodges smoke. I don't got time for
that. I like it. Reek, hey,
Reek, he calling you out.
Hey, you know what? Let's get a couple. Let's see if we can get some sponsors. Would you be willing to race Reek in a 60 or 100 if we got some sponsors to put some money up?
Challenging me.
Well, you got to do 60. 100.
We can race if he's serious about it. If he's truly serious about it, I'm not talking about you just talking on the internet and you ain't actually coming to me and talking to my agent and saying, let's set something up. You are seriously about it. You'll see me on the track.
Okay. Now, here's the thing is I think that the average person the average person needs to understand. If Noah Lyles is on a track with Tyreek Hill, he will win by a second. He will win. He will absolutely blast Tyreek Hill out of the water.
50?
No, in 100 meters.
Well, are they going to do
they were
the 50
talking
or
about
the
they were talking about a 60, which is like a
Reek wants to do the 50.
So the 60-meter race is like a sprint that they do, like actual indoor championships.
Here. Right.
And maybe that would make the loss look less egregious. You go 50 or 60 meters and you got yourself.
Does Tyreek actually have a chance at the 50 or the 60 meter mark as opposed to the 100 meter mark?
So I actually went on and watched this Masters race in the 60 meter. Now I think the Masters division is just old guys, right?
Right.
Yeah, and look, Tyreek Hill, he smoked, man. He went quick. He won it in like 6-7 something. He's quick. What he's not is he's not Noah Lyles speed. He's not gold medal speed, okay? So everybody needs to settle down. But I like it. He said I would do it. I'd absolutely do it. Well, if he really actually reaches out and wants to do this, I will be there. I love it. I'll watch it. I don't know. We need more stuff like this. And like I said, guess what? Noah Lyles has gotten some nice endorsements and everything. But Tyreek Hill's how much a year? $30 million a year? $33 million a year, whatever it is. He's the highest paid wideout.
Number one player in the NFL, according to the players.
Yeah, so he is. Noah Lyles needs this scratch more than Tyreek Hill does. But Tyreek Hill wants the attention. And he is definitely an attention whore. He wants it. Give me all the attention you can give me. And but I'll watch it. I'd absolutely watch this. You telling me you wouldn't watch it?
Oh, I would. I don't know if I'd drop the 20, but I would definitely be interested.
You'd come over for the dollar and have to pitch in the $1.28?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm all for it.
But I mean, the race is going to last less than 10 seconds. So.
Yeah, that's why you got to have an undercard.
See.
You got to have a bunch of other people racing each other across different sports. How do you hype up and
sell a $20 program that's only 10 seconds long?
Because you could find a a third-tier NBA player who would have a foot race with a tight end in the NFL. You know what I mean?
What we do is what the NBA does with the lottery, and we just have some weird interviews like we have Shannon Sharp, who's always stirring the pot, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
How is Shannon Sharp always in the middle of this stuff?
I love what he says. And look, he's smart about it.
Who saw that coming 10, 15 years
If we got
ago?
some sponsors, would you make this happen? I was like, yeah, get them paid. Let them get a piece of it. Give them $1 million. And then you give $1 million to the person who wins. So $1 million for showing up, and then an extra $1 million if you win the race. That's absolutely doable. Okay.
Imagine getting paid $1 million to win a race. That's pretty cool.
What about League of Legends? The League of Legends drop in there too. So this guy only knows about track and League of Legends.
That's his thing.
Okay.
Noah Lyles is into nerd things.
He's the Jamal Williams of the race of the U.S. Track and Field Association.
If Noah Lyles and Jamal Williams are not best friends yet, they will be.
You know what's great? On a day where we have Noah Lyles sound, we have Jamal Williams sound coming up next hour.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, man. All right, we will come back. We've got tons to jump into next hour. Like I said, we've got some college football playoff predictions. I'm going to actually put together an alternate reality college football playoff for you on the way back here, okay? And it's not that far off of what could actually happen, okay? I don't want to just have it be the regular run-of-the-mill college football playoff to start things off. I think you might be surprised by some of the teams I throw in there. All right, stay right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Center.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. Third hour of the program. We've got tons to still talk about here. I've been putting together over the last couple of days a alternate reality college football playoff. Okay?
Alternate reality.
Yeah, I didn't want, which is kind of where I live most of the time, by the way. But
it's a good place to be.
But I was just looking at it and I was like, look, I don't want the same old Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon.
But you know that's what's going to happen.
I don't know. Is it? Why are we so sure about these things? By the way,
because who's won the last how many national championships?
I mean, the SEC, basically. Georgia is like, right now the power. But they also didn't, where were they last year, right? On the outside looking in. And they're the kind of automatic win for everybody else. But you know what? I'll remind you that last year everybody had Georgia winning the national title at this past season also. They were in everybody's college football playoff, JJ. Remember this? They ended up playing in the Orange Bowl with the Orange Bowl that was just the left-out bowl. Everybody who was, did you get invited? No. Did you? No. Should we play each other? Yeah. Okay, I'll hang 60 on you, and you guys lay down, and then we won't really care. Worse, was that the Orange Bowl? The Peach Bowl? Orange Bowl. Ugh.
Here's the honest truth. In 20 years, there are only 9 schools that have won national championships. 9.
In 20 years?
In 20 years.
Okay.
You got UCF on that list, right?
Is that when Utah got that?
My glasses are a little blurry. I'm not reading UCF
Is that remember there was like that? Yeah, is that what it was? The College Matrix?
College Matrix.
What was it?
Collie Matrix.
Who is that?
It's a computer.
Well, bottom line is
the College Matrix.
Where's the cameras?
They're here, but we haven't activated them yet. We didn't need to see that anyway. All right, but yeah, I'm gonna go because I just think that it's easy to just say Ohio State, Georgia, but neither of those teams were there last year. And by the way,
Alabama was in the top 4.
No, I know, but I'm saying
it was a rare year.
Georgia and Ohio State, who is on everybody's list, they're going to play each other in the national championship game. But Ryan Day has a way of screwing things up recently. And just because the Michigan Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh are kind of out of their picture now,
and they cheated. They're eliminated from the. They cheated.
Well, do you think I care?
No. Burn my trees down. I don't care. Poison my trees.
Why would it be? Why is it suddenly? Why is everything going to change now? These teams.
It's not that it's going to change.
Georgia, Alabama.
I'm just telling you that it can be. I'm just saying it. There is
LSU occasionally.
Yeah.
Ohio State's always there, but
I know. I'm just
else.
saying. And look, the alternate reality from Georgia winning the national championship would be Alabama winning it for me.
Right.
So that's not a crazy, thought. But I'm also not one of these people that thinks that. I don't think that Texas is going to get some sort of a weird free pass to the college football playoff. All right, so I've got some predictions for you. Ready? Hold on, I wrote them down. I wrote these down. Okay. Here is your possible lineup of college football playoff teams here. All right. I'm going to go Hold on, still not opening up. Come on. I just wrote all this stuff down and then I'm over here. Okay. So here's what we got. I'm going to say instead of Georgia being your number 1 seed, I'm going to say it's going to be Alabama.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the number 2 seed will still be Ohio State because it's the way that it's set up, okay? I'm going to say that your number 3 is going to be your ACC champion, Florida State Seminoles, okay? And then number 4, you ready for this? This is my alternate reality. The Oklahoma State Cowboys sneak in a Big Ten championship. I know everybody else has Kansas State and Utah in the Big 12 championship game.
So you got Oklahoma State winning.
Oklahoma State winning it and being that number 4 seed. Okay. Now, are you ready for the rest of my setup? Okay.
Yeah.
The team or the conference, because it's either going to be the Big Ten or the ACC that gets a second team in. Okay. So I'm going to say that Clemson sneaks in as a 9 seed. Okay. And I'm going to say that Oregon gets an at-large bid, but they're only going to be an 8 seed. Okay. I'm going to say your 5 seed is the at-large Ole Miss Rebels. I think Tulane gets... Now, again, this is a toss-up. Who freaking knows who the G5 team is going to be? But if we're doing a 5, that 5-12 game is going to be Ole Miss, and it's going to be Tulane. Ole Miss is going to host Tulane, all right? Then I'm going to go Georgia as the 6th seed. They get the at-large. They finish third in the ACC, all right? And they're going to be taking on the 11th seeded Texas Longhorns, all right? And then the 7th seeded Tennessee Volunteers are going to be facing off against the 10th seeded Mizzou Tigers. There's my bracket for you.
Okay.
Now, it's all over the place, some of those teams are in there, but I don't buy in to the chalk like, oh yeah, Georgia and Ohio State are going to be your automatics. Okay. I think Ryan Day is a little bit of a fake. Plus, I don't know. Here's the thing. When Ohio State has won national championships, JJ, when Ohio State's won national championships, what have they always had? A phenomenal quarterback.
Yes, they do not have that.
They don't have it. They legitimately, I think, probably made the wrong choice. They felt pressure to put Will Howard in at the quarterback. He's not great, you guys. He would have lost his gig to Avery Johnson at Kansas State, or they would have made the wrong decision and just played him because he's going to be a senior or whatever it is. And then Devin Brown, who's his backup, also unproven. Ohio State does not have the generational quarterback that is the usual suspect. C.J. Stroud was a phenomenal quarterback. I think we can all agree he was probably the best that we've seen, and certainly in recent years at Ohio State, and certainly with what he's doing in the NFL already, he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year. He could be an All-Pro this year. And he went to the dadgum Rose Bowl because they couldn't get to the college football semifinal. With that type of talent, the wideouts that they had, the defenses that they had, it wasn't enough. So I don't buy into Ohio State. Anyway, that's my little soapbox. So there you go. Don't buy into Ohio State. Don't just buy in automatically to Georgia either. Okay? Carson Beck. Ooh. If you're at Georgia, they're gonna say your name. They're gonna know your name. You're gonna know the quarterback's name at Georgia. That's just how it works. So one that the college football preseason predictor that ESPN did has Georgia as the number 1 seed. Ohio State is the number 2 seed. Come on. By the way, these are their big partners on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Florida State's their 3 seed. Utah's their 4 seed. All right. They have Boise State facing off against the Texas Longhorns. I think that's fun. They have Alabama, the 9 seed, going to Ole Miss to play in that 9 and 8 game. That'd be fun. The number 11 Penn State Nittany Lions would be facing the number 6 Oregon Ducks. The Miami Hurricanes. I mean, that's your second ACC team is the Miami Hurricanes. Listen, maybe it's because I just don't like Mario Cristobal. That could be part of it, JJ, and I apologize, but I don't like that guy.
Okay.
And I think he gets way too much love. So they have the Miami Hurricanes at number 10 hosting the number 7, going to South Bend. By the way, on a South Bend December 21st game.
Gross.
Bleh. Okay, so here are the teams that aren't in this scenario. LSU, Mizzou, Tennessee, Oklahoma. By the way, all SEC teams. And then the next 4 after that are Michigan. I think we all know that Michigan's probably not going to be there. They had their time. The Kansas State Wildcats, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Clemson Tigers. Now here are the group of 5 teams. Could you imagine? So the Boise State Broncos are the number 1, according to this list, group of 5 team on here. The number 2 team, and this could actually happen. Could you imagine a scenario where the UTSA Roadrunners are in the college football playoff? That sounds more weird. I know. University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners, in the American Athletic Conference. Or the App State Mountaineers. Could you imagine how far they've come to be in the college football playoff a year that Michigan doesn't go? That'd be kind of a fun storyline, right? Liberty's on that list. Miami of Ohio is on that list. How about a matchup between Miami and Miami? That'd be fun. Come on. I'm just saying that the group of 5, because I just named off all those teams, that's actually more interesting to me than, whether or not Georgia and Alabama or Tennessee, like a handful, 6 SEC teams or 6 Big Ten teams don't do it for me. It's still not fun at that point. I want it to be more fun. So that's my 2 cents on the college football playoff. And the predictions are, it's wild. All right. I do have another list for you. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The New York Times and The Athletic re-ranked the entire college football FBS system 1 through 134. Okay? Give me your guesses on, or do you already know?
No, I don't know.
Give me your guesses on where Utah lands. I will say this. I'll give you a hint.
Probably just outside of the top 10, just like they are in the other polls.
Number 11.
Okay.
You're exactly right. Highest ranked Big 12 team, though. The Utah Utes. After that, you've got Kansas State at 20, Kansas at 21, Oklahoma State at 22. See, nobody knows what to think of those 3 teams, right? Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Kansas State, and Iowa State. They're all right there, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Why aren't we talking more about Iowa State, by the way?
I've tried to bring them up, but you're right. I mean, they deserve more love. They've got a really good quarterback. They got a good running back.
Yes,
Their defense is solid.
Rocco Beck got disrespected earlier in the show, being put at what? What number was he? Like 7 or 8? No, he was.
No, he was 10 or 11.
I think he was 11. Yeah, Rocco Beck was number 11. That's right. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. So in their version of the top 25, you have Utah, you have Iowa State, Kansas, Oklahoma State. They actually threw in Arizona. So this is the first poll I've seen that they have 6 of the Big 12 teams in the top 25. Okay? Any guesses on BYU?
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Bottom third.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They're not even in the 51 to 75 range.
They're at number 75.
Oh.
Yeah. So barely on that edge.
Up from last year's 77.
Yeah, there you go.
So things are looking up.
What's more surprising? That Michigan State is 70 or the BYU 75? I don't know why James Madison is getting put down at 74. Did they lose a bunch of talent or something? Oh, boy.
They did. They lost their coach.
Oh, that's right. That was the weirdest. I want to apologize. Bringing up a JMU. Now what are they? What's their mascot? Like a Southern Gentleman or something?
A Southern Gentleman. Isn't that a drink?
Are they the Dukes?
They are the Dukes.
Yeah, see, a Southern Gentleman.
Isn't Southern Gentleman a drink?
I think you're thinking of Southern Comfort. That's what you're thinking of. No, a Southern Gentleman, a Duke. All right.
I thought the perfect Southern Gentleman was the governor of Austin Peay and his monocle and his top hat.
Or the Demon Deacon with those chops.
And his oil fortune.
The oil fortune, then you're SMU, man. Okay, so.
That's how they bought all those Trans Ams.
BYU 75. And then Utah State they actually have. Any guesses on Utah State?
A bottom tier.
Yes.
Expectations are probably low because of everything they've been through.
109.
Right.
That seems aggressively low.
It is. They're going to do much better than that.
I hope so. So there you go. And if you're wondering who's at the very bottom, Kennesaw State. It's their first year in FBS, right?
The Owls.
Jeremy. Kennesaw State, first year in the FBS levels? Okay. By the way, they're into the FBS after a 3-6 showing in the FCS last year. So
wow, good luck.
They're going to be performing on UTEP levels for years to come.
Did they schedule Kent State? They probably should have scheduled Kent State.
Kent State was 1-11 last year, and they're 133.
They should have put Kent State on the schedule.
UMass 132, Louisiana Monroe 131, and then the Temple Owls. You have 2 Owls between 130 and 134. Where's Rice when you need him to be bad? Rice is actually pretty far up this list for Rice. They're 91. Usually they're in the hundreds for sure, right?
I'd like to see a team one year try to schedule all the Owls teams.
Every Owl. Temple, Rice, Kennesaw State.
Florida Atlantic.
Is Florida Atlantic? Oh, yeah, they are. What did we determine a Wahoo was?
Definitely not an owl.
I know. Wahoo! My favorite, best owl commercial of all time. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know. 1, 2, 3. 3. What? That doesn't bring up some childhood memories for you two?
It does.
I guess you guys didn't grow up in the 80s like I did. Bunch of weirdos.
We went from the college football playoff to the Tootsie Pop owl.
Owls are a big part of college football now. They're like as many as Cougars or Wildcats that there are.
Let me throw this out before we go.
Mm-hmm.
So in last year's AP Top 25, the semifinalists last year, the college football playoff teams, only the number 1 and number 2 teams in the poll were Georgia and Michigan, but the other 2 came from outside of the top 5. Do we see that again this year? Because I think everyone's looking at, once you get through the quarterfinals, who are the true semifinal teams going to be? Who's going to be your top 4? Who are the 2 teams outside of the top 5 that have a chance to break through and be those 2 playoff teams outside of the top 2? Which we believe Ohio State and Georgia are this year, right?
Right.
Last year it was Georgia and Michigan. Georgia actually didn't make it, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So Alabama did, and they were number 4. So you had number 2. Here's the teams in the preseason AP top 25 last year that made the 4 college football playoff. Michigan, number 2. Alabama, number 4. Washington, 10. Texas, 11.
This is what
Two double-digit teams made the college football playoff.
This is what I'm saying. Do not assign how you think this is going to go. And I'm telling you, mark it down, Jeremy. Write it down on the rundown and have us remember it. Ohio State does not have a reliable quarterback situation, but everybody is crowning them as either the first or second best team in this country.
Name 1 or 2 teams in that 11 to 25 tier who can make the semifinals.
So
Utah, Penn State, LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Clemson, Miami, Iowa State.
Iowa and Iowa State.
Kansas State's 20.
Where's the Texas A&M Aggies?
Oh, my gosh.
23.
I read this whole thing this morning.
I'm asking for a friend.
No, I know. I read this whole thing this morning that was like, watch out for the Texas A&M Aggies. I'm like, I'm not falling for that BS. And you know what? If you're down in College Station, don't read that article because it was all this high praise. Starts talking about the dark times of Johnny Manziel winning the Heisman and Kevin Sumlin boozing his way to college coaching jobs after his stint at Texas A&M just for coaching Johnny football. My goodness. I don't know. You know what? I don't know who on that. I mean, maybe a Tennessee team makes it. What's wrong with Josh Heupel? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with
He was a bad offensive coordinator at Utah State.
Yeah, but he's done a hell of a job at Tennessee so far as a head coach.
Or he's just got an immense amount of talent at Tennessee.
He's got an immense amount of money.
That's my point.
To work with.
Fair.
He's definitely better than Jeremy Pruitt.
Great players make bad coaches look good. Anyway, by the way, there's 7 Big 12 teams in this top 27. So there's West Virginia's 27th. There's 6 in the top 25, and West Virginia's 27th. So this ranking by The Athletic is very favorable to the Big 12, which tells you what we've all been talking about is this thing is wide open, and there's some crazy good teams at the top that probably deserve more respect nationally than they're getting because you look at the top 10 and what is it filled with? 2 conferences.
Yep.
And Notre Dame.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go around the corner. Stay with us. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Never gets old. Little Sam Spence to bring us in on the latest edition of the NFL Blitz right here on JJ and Alex 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. We'll get to today's NFL news shortly. But first, each Wednesday on the KSL Sports is a Win Ticket Wednesday. This week you can win a pair of tickets to see Train and REO Speedwagon at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 29th. Jeremy, I get that we have to play this promo in this segment, but it hurts my heart that we can't play some REO Speedwagon.
Here's what I'll do. Next time we need to mention it, I'll put it somewhere else so we can come back with the proper music it deserves.
Can we do that? Are we allowed to move these things around?
I can do a lot of things, yeah.
It just doesn't... Look, Train sucks, so we don't have to worry about that. I just feel like...
Drop to Jupiter. Train's on.
Lame.
People like it.
I get that people like it. People like a lot of things, Jeremy. Doesn't mean it's good. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I hear you.
People liked Backstreet Boys. That wasn't good. But they sold millions of tickets and millions of albums.
Popular and good are not always the same thing.
Did you know the Backstreet Boys, that whole thing started through a pyramid scheme?
What?
Yeah, a Ponzi scheme, not pyramid. Here? Ponzi scheme. I'll stop there. I'm going down a road.
That's later. We need to discuss this.
We got to get to. We have some more controversial and more interesting stories in the NFL. Although I could really go for some REO Speedwagon right now. But back to the Sam Spence, back to the NFL. Really interesting story today. Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins quarterback who now has a max contract and security in the NFL. The number one quarterback for the Dolphins, the quarterback of the future for the Dolphins. It wasn't always that way. Earlier on in his career, there was a little uncertainty about Tua's ability to play in the NFL, Tua's ability to be a top-flight quarterback in the NFL. And his head coach back then, who happened to be Brian Flores, didn't really help matters. There were even rumors that the Dolphins were trying to acquire Deshaun Watson. Well, Tua hasn't forgiven Brian Flores. In fact, Tua went on the Dan Le Batard show with Stugotz, right? And was very candid about his time under Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins.
To put it in simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. Like, you are accurate, you are the best whatever, you are this, you are that. Like, how would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? And then you hear it, regardless of what it is, the good or the bad. And you hear it more and more. You start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You can be the president of the United States. You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear, or that you probably shouldn't be hearing. You're going to start to believe that about yourself. And so that's sort of like what ended up happening. And it was, I mean, it's basically been, 2 years of training that out of not just me, but, a couple of the guys as well that have been here since my rookie year all the way till now.
Very interesting comments. Not very complimentary to Brian Flores, who's now the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, some of you who haven't been around the game of football and aren't familiar with a lot of how these things go with coaches and players, that was a pretty typical environment back in the day, right? That's a very old school approach. Tough love, right, is what they would probably call it. And I think time has shown that that's not really a very healthy approach.
Because there's a difference in being like on a guy, making him feel better to get better. This is like, you just suck. There's a big difference in how you handle. If he wasn't good at the time, well, you can handle it a particular way, and this was really bad.
We talk about breaking someone down and then building them back up as an element of coaching, right? Well, if you don't build them back up, then you're a bad coach. If you're just being a jerk, there's a lot of words I can use but I can't use on the radio to describe Brian Flores. Keep that dump button ready. I might mess up here, Jeremy. I'll be good, I promise.
I got you.
But you get what I'm saying. You know the words I'm thinking of. A little more harsh than jerk.
That was a masterpiece of dog shit.
Brian Flores is a meanie. Well, here's the thing, is that doesn't really work. And Tua's a great example. Imagine if Tua didn't get out of that environment. Imagine if Tua didn't go to Stephen Ross, the owner, and say, this is how I'm being coached. This is why I'm struggling. And then they made the coaching change, and look what they changed it to. Mike McDaniel, who's the complete opposite.
Because I always felt odd. He had ups and downs, but never seemed to be that bad of a quarterback as a young guy.
No, but you could tell he wasn't Tua that was at Alabama.
Exactly.
And now, Tua played for the ultimate tear you down and build you back up coach of all time, and Nick Saban. He handled that just fine.
Part 2 is good. That's the important part, like you said.
I think that Nick Saban, while he's got a rough exterior, is pretty good at that number 2 part. And if you've had looks into that way he ran his programs, that was certainly the case. Because you don't see a lot of people that played for Nick Saban like really bad-mouthing him publicly like this. That was what was missing with Brian Flores. And I think Brian Flores was a brand-new head coach in the league, and there was a lot of pressure on him and a lot of focus on him. And I think the pressure probably got to him. And he dipped into this old-school approach without understanding how to do the other part. Well, Brian Flores did hear about what Tua said, and Brian Flores did respond to Tua's comments. Here's what he said.
That hit me in a way that, I wouldn't say it was, positive for me. But at the same time, I've got to use that and say, hey, how can I grow from that? How can I be better? And that's really where I'm at from that standpoint. Do I feel like, that's me? No, but how can I grow from that situation and create a world where that's not, the case that anyone says that about Brian Flores.
Was Brian Flores really that mean and cruel? Could be somewhere in the middle, right? Because maybe Tua is a little bit sensitive, and maybe Tua didn't handle it well, whatever. Bottom line is Brian Flores blew it with Tua, and the results since then back that up. Because since Mike McDaniel has come in, Tua has been an above-average to elite NFL quarterback. Last year, he was elite. Agree, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah. He was amazing. Look what they did in the
Their
AFC
offense was unbelievable.
One of the best in the league.
Trust me, I know. I'm a Denver Broncos fan.
Sorry.
What they did to us last year was humiliating. They put a 70 burger on us.
It was like 72 to something.
Crazy.
Too many points for
right.
an NFL team. It never happens.
I mean, I witnessed a high school team do it the other night. That's high school. You never see it in the NFL.
Well, the opponent put up almost 50 as well, so kept it close.
Fair. High school's different. But in the NFL, you rarely see 70. That offense was really good, so you have to give Tua credit for that. So it's an interesting dynamic, and what do we take from this? For those of us who played sports 20, 30 years ago, I think we all have lived through some of this, and I had that experience myself, is you have a difference between when a coach is just absolutely ripping you to shreds and doesn't care if you get better from it and basically wants you to quit, doesn't care. Or you have a coach that coaches you pretty hard, trying to get the best out of you, but pulls you aside and tells you, I believe in you. You've got all this talent. We know you can lead us. We know you can do that. You got to have part two. And many of us didn't get part two when we were playing. It happens. I think that in 2024, a lot of professional coaches have learned better and do better. And I think Brian Flores will learn from this experience. And I think it's good that Tua's comments came public, Jeremy, because how many NFL players or college football players have been really public about that and have been, courage is not the right word, courage is too strong, but had the nerve to be public about it because it helps us understand that dynamic, and it hopefully helps these coaches learn that that's not the right approach.
There's also backlash. So if you talk out, it's like, well, you're not going to play or all these type of things. So him saying, and then Coach Flores actually responding the way he did, he's like, oh,
there was
crap.
some humility.
I could tell. It was a bad time in my life of coaching.
He didn't double down.
No, he's sincere.
He admitted he made some mistakes there. So hopefully there's good things that come out of this conversation that'll help coaches in the future and help players understand how to communicate what they need in the future. Because I think there's been many times over the years where there's been great talent that just needed that person to say, I believe in you. You can do this. And not all coaches know every single button to push for every guy. There's plenty, and we're talking about the quarterback position specifically, but how you coach a defensive tackle is probably different than how you coach a quarterback. Agree?
Has to be, yeah, because it's different. You're the leader, the quarterback, defensive tackle, big position, but you're not the face of the team. Stuff happens. It's like you're the guy, so there's different ways to handle every single person, every position.
How you handle your diva wide receivers is different than how you handle your linebackers.
It's like Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, Troy Aikman, you can sleep. Who cares? But you other guy, you guys got to pay attention a little bit.
Right. So ultimately, coaches need to understand that balance. And I think that in 2024, coaches are better at that, even at the professional level. But for a long, long time, it was a problem. And I think a lot of people that played the game probably were hurt by that and struggled with that and end up quitting or walking away because they didn't feel any self-worth in that role. Sports didn't pay them back the way it should have. And so hopefully experiences like this can teach everybody the right way to coach. If you're going to tear someone down a little bit and point out their faults, make sure you build them back up because you never know what their potential can be. Imagine if Tua never had a Mike McDaniel to help build him back up. His career might be over by now, and that would be a shame. That's your NFL Blitz on this Tuesday. When we come back, it's best and worst, and you do not want to miss this. We love Jamal Williams, and he always delivers in front of a mic. That's next on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
again for Best and Worst on JJ and Alex 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Best and Worst brought to you, as always, by Doug Smith Dealerships for an incredible selection on Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. That's plenty of choices. Visit Doug Smith Dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork, or any fork near you. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows how like Doug. Nobody knows how to entertain in front of a microphone in the NFL than our favorite, our beloved Jamal Williams, BYU football legend, the all-time leading rusher in BYU football history, who is now a member of the New Orleans Saints, is one of the most fascinating dudes I've ever met in my life. And the more the NFL fans get to know him, the more the world understands and knows that he's one of the most fascinating dudes on the planet.
Well, Hard Knocks, he was the star a couple years ago with the Lions.
Exactly. And for a variety of reasons, one of which was that fiery, emotional, very motivating speech he gave to the team and got emotional and started crying. It was amazing. But there's also a side of Jamal, he just knows how to be weird at the funniest times. And I know he understands that everybody's having a fun time with it, and so he has fun with it. So Jamal got weird once again this weekend after the Saints played the 49ers in California. Here's what he said.
Never in my life have I ever stayed in a hotel for over a month. So
You to get home?
yeah, my mental is done. But I'm having fun with my team and everything, but I'm ready to go and see my cats, honestly. I got cats, and I know they are going crazy right now, wondering where their dad is at. So I'm ready to get home, honestly.
Jeremy, I have questions.
Proceed.
He didn't say a cat.
It's true.
He said cats plural?
He's a cat guy.
Jamal Williams is essentially a cat lady. Like, how many cats are we talking about here?
Here's the thing. I know cats can take care of themselves pretty well. He's gone for a month. Like,
cats also stink.
Well, I know. I'm not a cat person, but
Oof.
there are people I know who are, so I kind of tolerate it. But
so Jamal's been out of town at a hotel in California for a long time, and his cats are at home?
So what's the number you put him at? What do you think?
It's got to be a half dozen, maybe.
Half dozen?
And can you imagine what that place smells like when he gets home?
Not good.
Hopefully, Jamal's doing well. Hopefully he hired somebody to be able to take care of those cats while he was gone. But surprised to learn, but maybe I shouldn't be, that Jamal Williams has multiple cats.
Cats, anime, Pokemon. It checks out. He likes his things. It's great.
He's a fascinating dude. I love Jamal Williams.
He's amazing.
He is the best. You know what I don't love, Jeremy, is Cybertrucks. Cybertrucks are the ugliest vehicle I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand why anyone would drop so much change on that. But essentially, I get it. Because it's expensive, people want to buy it, right?
I guess. It's still a waste of money.
I agree.
This worst has many worst involved within it, not just one.
Don't mean to offend any of you out there that love the
No, I do. I will.
Each their
own. No, Jeremiah.
You want to offend
shame them. They're terrible.
You want to offend them. Fair. Fine. Well, Jason Kelsey apparently is the owner of a Cybertruck. Now, I don't know if this is best or worst. Now, it's worst if you're a Cowboys fan because apparently he has an anti-Cowboys bumper sticker on his Cybertruck. Now, I get behind that because I don't like the Cowboys, so that's the best. But then I have to be reminded that it's stuck to a Cybertruck. And the fact that Jason Kelsey, who I love and respect, owns a Cybertruck, I'm a little conflicted. So, Jeremy, is this best or is this worst?
Well, I got another worst. It's Ben Franklin, which is fine, but the urinating stickers, like, come on. How old are you?
Really?
That's what it is. So there's another worst with it.
Jason, come on, bro.
Grow up.
You're better than that. All right, we got to wrap this up. Let's take a break. A lot to go. A lot of college football talk up next, right here on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that thigh!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Time to wrap up the show today. One last segment here on JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's late August. We got to go college football here. And technology continues to be a story in college football. There's a lot of things going on with technology. We talked about it at 6 o'clock on the KSL 5 News at 10 about what BYU's doing with technology. You got now the ability to communicate through helmets and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is not really that high tech, but it is revolutionary, and it shows you where we're at in the year 2024 when it comes to college football. The Oklahoma State football team will wear QR codes on their helmets, and that QR code will link you to a team NIL fund. So I guess, Jeremy, you're watching a football game and they got a tight shot of a helmet. Are you going to get your phone out? And how is this going to work? Help me out. Help me understand how this is good and how this is going to work.
First off, I just noticed this. Did you see the minimum donation?
Oh, there's a minimum donation.
There is. What would you think it would be for this type of stunt?
Well, I mean...
And it goes to the general team fund, so not like to a quarterback. Bowman's not getting it, or Holly Gordon.
I'm an ignorant and dumb person, and naive as well. So I'll say, maybe just like $10.
$100.
Oh, minimum $100.
Yeah.
Okay, Cowboys.
So it's innovative. It's like we talked before the show. It's like putting your Venmo and you just married or turned 21, give you some money for whatever.
And I respect that, and I love that. And I love that we can do that in this day and age, but it's not like you see the receiver's going to get a touchdown. And you're like, I want to give him $100.
You underestimate college football fans.
Again, what did I tell you? I told you I was naive, and I'm not very smart.
Do you remember that kid on Game Day a couple years ago put up a sign for about when Venmo was kind of newish or Cash App? Thousands upon thousands of dollars on Game Day, put up a sign like, I need beer or something. Mom, send money, and he got tons and tons of money from it. So
what a thief.
What? That's intuitive.
Oh, yeah. Send me money for what? How do you earn that money?
First one to do it. That's how.
Fair enough. Innovative. I'll give it to him. So, yeah, it's innovative. It's cool. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I don't know how many donations they're going to get from a QR code on a helmet because I don't know how many people can get close enough and have the helmet stay steady enough to be able to scan it with their stupid iPhone.
No, it's the backup punter who doesn't do anything. You get that code.
There you go. And we all want to donate to the backup punter. I don't know. It's where we're at in 2024. It's cool. I hope it helps them, but I'm just a little skeptical that anybody's going to look at that and be like, man, I got to scan that QR code because when I see QR codes on the TV, I ain't scanning it. I'm sorry.
Usually scam, I think.
I'll scan a restaurant menu when I'm out at dinner, but on TV while I'm watching a game, probably not, but hopefully it works out for them. All right, that's a wrap. Jeremy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great show. We'll see you tomorrow from the Dish Pros. So Alex Carey will be with Sly. I'm going to be gone tomorrow. So Sly sits in my seat tomorrow, so we look forward to that. All right, thanks for joining us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.